Church history is vital for every Christian. It strengthens our faith and clears up myths and misconceptions. Critics often misrepresent events, doctrines, and figures, causing confusion and doubt. Spanning over 2,000 years of God's work, the history of the Church is rich, with theological breakthroughs, cultural influence, and moments of triumph and struggle. In this video, we'll highlight key themes and milestones as an introduction, with more details to come in future episodes. Ready to uncover the fascinating stories that shape the Church? Subscribe now and join us each week to explore the past and grow in your faith. Alright, let's get started. Our journey begins with the early Church, a period commonly known as the patristic era. The Catholic Church traces its origins to a pivotal moment: the life, death, and resurrection of Jesus Christ. Around 30 AD, Jesus entrusted his apostles, led by Peter, to spread his teachings. Peter, referred to as the first pope, became the rock upon which the Church was built. The apostles, filled with the Holy Spirit at Pentecost, began spreading the message of salvation. From Jerusalem, the teachings spread across the Roman Empire, carried by figures like Paul of Tarsus. Paul's epistles and missionary journeys were instrumental in establishing early Christian communities. But being a Christian was dangerous. The Roman Empire viewed this new religion as a threat to its traditions and authority. Christians refused to worship Roman gods or the emperor, drawing suspicion and hostility. From Nero's brutal executions in 64 AD to Diocletian's great persecution in 303 AD, thousands were martyred. Early Christians faced torture, imprisonment, and death, but their faith remained unshaken. Martyrs became powerful symbols of courage and conviction. In secret, Christians gathered in catacombs and homes, preserving their faith and celebrating the Eucharist. These hidden spaces became sanctuaries where the Church grew in resilience and solidarity. The tides began to change with Emperor Constantine. Before the Battle of the Milvian Bridge in 312 AD, Constantine reportedly had a vision of a cross with the words, "In this sign, conquer." After his victory, he attributed his success to the Christian God. In 313 AD, Constantine and his co-emperor Licinius issued the Edict of Milan, granting religious tolerance across the empire. For the first time, Christians could worship openly without fear of persecution. With legalization, the Church began to flourish. Constantine's patronage saw the construction of significant churches, including the Church of the Holy Sepulchre in Jerusalem and St. Peter's Basilica in Rome. The Council of Nicaea, convened in 325 AD by Emperor Constantine, was a pivotal moment in Church history, addressing one of the most critical theological controversies of the time. The primary purpose of the council was to resolve the Arian controversy, a debate over the nature of Christ's divinity. Arius, a presbyter from Alexandria, argued that Jesus was a created being and not co-eternal with God the Father, challenging the Orthodox understanding of the Trinity. The council gathered bishops from across the Roman Empire to establish unity in doctrine and affirm the true nature of Christ. The resulting Nicene Creed declared that Jesus is begotten, not made, and of the same essence, homoousios, as the Father, solidifying the foundation of Trinitarian theology and ensuring the unity of the Church's teaching on the divinity of Christ. This period also saw the emergence of great theologians, like Augustine of Hippo, whose writings shaped Christian thought for centuries. The Church's influence extended beyond theology, becoming a unifying force in the fragmented Roman world. When the Western Roman Empire fell in 476 AD, the Church stepped into the vacuum of power. While political structures crumbled, the Church provided stability, preserving knowledge and culture through monasteries and its network of clergy. Meanwhile, figures like Pope Gregory the Great, 590 to 604, solidified Church doctrine and expanded its influence during a time of political and social instability. His visionary leadership transformed the Church into a central force of stability in Europe, bridging the gap between the fall of the Western Roman Empire and the rise of medieval Christendom. Gregory reformed church administration, establishing clear guidelines for clergy and emphasizing pastoral care, which strengthened the Church's spiritual and organizational foundation. He championed missionary efforts, most notably sending St. Augustine of Canterbury to evangelize England, thereby expanding the Church's reach. Gregory also shaped Catholic worship by refining the liturgy and promoting Gregorian chant, which enriched the spiritual life of the faithful. Through his humility, intellect, and tireless dedication, Gregory the Great not only bolstered the Church's influence but also laid the groundwork for its enduring role as a moral and cultural authority. By the High Middle Ages, the Church had become a dominant force. The construction of Gothic cathedrals symbolized the faith and ambition of this era. These towering marvels weren't just places of worship, they were community centers, schools, and symbols of God's presence on earth. But not everything was peaceful. The Great Schism of 1054, which split Christianity into the Roman Catholic Church in the West and the Eastern Orthodox Church in the East, was caused by a combination of theological, political, and cultural differences. Key issues included disputes over papal authority, with the West advocating for the Pope's supremacy, while the East emphasized a conciliar approach. The addition of the Filioque clause to the Nicene Creed by the Western Church, which stated that the Holy Spirit proceeds from both the Father and the Son, was another major point of contention. Political rivalries between the Byzantine Empire and the rising power of Western Europe further strained relations. The schism's impact was profound, solidifying the division of Christendom, shaping separate theological and liturgical traditions, and influencing political alliances and cultural development in both the East and West for centuries. The Crusades, beginning in 1096, were both a spiritual mission and a violent clash of cultures. These military campaigns aimed to reclaim the Holy Land but also left a legacy of conflict and cultural exchange. The Renaissance and Reformation. The Renaissance, a time of rebirth and rediscovery, saw the Catholic Church at a crossroads. On one hand, it funded breathtaking art and architecture. Think of Michelangelo's Sistine Chapel ceiling or St. Peter's Basilica, masterpieces inspired by faith, but on the other hand, corruption and indulgences tarnished the Church's image. This led to one of the most transformative periods in its history, the Reformation. In 1517, Martin Luther, a German monk, challenged church practices. His actions sparked the Protestant Reformation, splitting Western Christianity. The Catholic Church responded with the Counter-Reformation, reaffirming its doctrines and addressing internal corruption through the Council of Trent, 1545 to 1563. The Church introduced seminaries as response to the growing need for well-educated and morally upright clergy, driven largely by the reforms of the Council of Trent. Prior to this, many priests were poorly trained, leading to abuses and a lack of pastoral effectiveness. Seminaries ensured that priests received rigorous theological education and spiritual formation, addressing these deficiencies and promoting higher clerical standards. During the Middle Ages, the election of cardinals evolved as the Church sought to reduce secular interference in papal appointments. By the 11th century, reforms led by Pope Nicholas II established that cardinals, the highest-ranking clergy, would exclusively elect the Pope in a secret conclave, a practice designed to preserve the integrity and independence of the process. This system laid the foundation for modern church governance and the training of its leaders. As Europe expanded its horizons during the Age of Exploration, so did the Catholic Church. Missionaries like Saint Francis Xavier brought Christianity to Asia, while Spanish and Portuguese explorers spread the faith across the Americas. These missions were a mix of light and shadow. While they brought education and healthcare to many, they were also tied to colonial agendas that disrupted indigenous cultures. Despite this complexity, the Church laid the foundations for vibrant Catholic communities worldwide, planting seeds that would grow into a truly global faith. The modern Catholic Church has navigated revolutions, world wars, and rapid societal change. The 19th century saw the Church grapple with the rise of secularism, while the 20th century introduced challenges like industrialization and globalization. A turning point came with Vatican II, 1962 to 1965, a council that modernized church practices. Latin Mass was replaced with vernacular languages, fostering greater engagement among worshippers. Today, the Catholic Church addresses global issues like poverty, climate change, and human rights. Popes like John Paul II, Benedict XVI, and Francis have each brought unique perspectives, shaping the Church's response to contemporary challenges. Under Pope Francis, The Church emphasizes compassion, environmental stewardship, and interfaith dialogue, striving to remain relevant in an ever-changing world. From the monasteries of the Middle Ages to the global community of today, the Catholic Church's journey is a testament to resilience and adaptation. It remains a spiritual home for over 1 billion people, offering guidance and hope in a complex world. If you found this journey through history insightful, please like, share, and subscribe to our channel for subsequent episodes of this series. Let us know in the comments what part of Catholic history fascinates you the most. And don't forget to check the video description for additional resources and related content.